Senator Booker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Smith, I actually feel you in a lot of what you've been saying today, and as a time that people just want to sink into partisan divisiveness, I want to just affirm the fact that you and I agree on a lot of things, with the exception of the fact that the omegas are better than the alphas. So you don't get to return, I get to ask the questions. So let's just be clear. We know the history of African Americans and the entire history of this country being overwhelmingly the victims of horrific violence. From the killing of 4 girls in a bombing in Birmingham to the killing of Breonna Taylor asleep in her own house, from massacres that have happened like Tulsa, Oklahoma, including massacres like we saw in a church in South Carolina. You would agree about the natural instinct for communities to want to defend themselves like Black Panthers did in Oakland or in, as you're seeing with Black women now, correct?
Absolutely.
So you and I also agree that we need to, with urgency, end this kind of violence in the United States of America. You said that in your testimony. And so I want to point out some things that I find outrageous that I actually think you probably find outrageous too. Mm-hmm. So the first is that we don't invest in communities so violence doesn't happen in the first place. And something you said already, correct, like finding jobs. Number 2, I introduced a bill called Break the Cycle of Violence Act that was included in the bipartisan compromise to do community violence intervention, because from Oakland to New York City, there are strategies that are about empowering communities that actually lower violence. You agree with me on that?
Absolutely.
You and I agree that most of the crimes happening in communities like ours, I'm the only senator, to my knowledge, that lives in a low-income Black and brown community for the last 25 years. And what kills me is that every single shooting when I was mayor, except for one that we could find, happened with a person who was not qualified to buy a gun that was able to get that gun. You agree in general that's the truth, right?
Repeat that last part.
That most of the crimes in communities like ours are happening because people who do not qualify to buy a gun, criminals, find a way to get a gun, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and so you and I would probably agree that this nation should have universal, thorough background checks, correct?
Yes, I support background checks.
I know you do. Number 2, the trace data. When these crimes happen in communities like mine, the clearance rates on murders is so low that communities are like, why can't we get the bad people behind? But yet we have laws that prevent people from doing research on trace data. You think that's absurd, yes?
I would agree, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. You don't have to hesitate so much. I'm not trying to trap you here, man.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Okay, so here you and I could go down a long list of things that would make all of us safer that we don't do because friends of mine block us in this body that would make communities like yours and mine a lot safer, correct? We can find bipartisan things that we could do today. Like take the ATF. It's the one law enforcement organization. We've increased budgets massively for every law enforcement, but we hand strap the ATF and don't allow them to do their job. We don't allow them to keep computer records of things that are going on. That's kind of absurd to stop law enforcement from doing their job, right?
I think where you and I differ, and I see a lot of similarities.
Especially haircut, but go ahead.
Beautiful hair, beautiful hair. I think when it comes down to looking at, let's be clear, I believe that having an AR-15 is a value add to my family.
Sir, I'll get to the AR-15. I'm just trying to establish the foundation.
We have commonality, sure, but there's differences. There's nuances
but Americans have a lot of agreement on this issue, even folks that are Republican witness and some Democrat from Jersey. So let me just switch to one thing, though, that I take issue with, but turn to Hunter, and you can talk to me later.
Sure.
You said that pulling a trigger, AR-15, pulling a trigger, it's just one trigger. These are similar than a pistol or a shotgun. At the top of my block a few years ago, Shahad Smith was killed with an assault rifle. The police and one of the police officers said to me, it was as if when that bullet hit him, his head exploded. Can you please explain for the record the difference between a one-shot pistol versus one of these assault weapons that are used in war zones?
From a functional standpoint, there is no difference between a...
Sir...
But hold on, let me answer. You answer the question, let me answer. When you take a shotgun, an AR, or a rifle, it's a one-trigger system.
Yes.
Are some systems or some shotguns or rifles stronger than others? Absolutely. But the mechanics are the same.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. Everything you said there is factual. But would you, Dr. Hunter, excuse me, would you please explain?
Thank you very much. So this weapon was chosen by the United States Army in Vietnam because it was designed to shoot through a standard issue military helmet at 500 yards. It was designed to kill someone wearing a military helmet at 500 yards. So what that does to a civilian who's wearing nothing, a baseball cap, is liquefy organs. That is the intent of this round. Yes, one trigger pull, but this round, the way it was designed, was to do as much damage as quickly as possible and to kill enemy soldiers wearing a standard issue military helmet.
And I'm just going to close you because I'm out of time, and I want to ask the mayor a question. But that is the point. These bullets hit bodies and they liquefy organs. I have seen too many shootings in my community. The ones done with pistols, people are more likely to survive. The ones done with these guns, they cause unbelievable damage. It takes one pull of a trigger to fire a grenade, one pull of a trigger to fire a pistol. There is a big difference between weapons of war and these weapons. Mayor, I have too much experience with seeing my children die. And God bless our police officers in the United States of America. I have not seen heroism, except for in war periods, about men and women running towards gunfire with no situational awareness. I am not joking. When I see one of my police officers when I go home in Newark, I want to hug them because I know that every day they put on that uniform. If I was their family member, if I was the husband of a police officer, you worry about them. And what your officers did, all the stories I hear, you should be so proud. And I'm sorry, though, that you have to feel that pride. What I don't think folks understand is the true devastation. We mourn the loss of life, and that is uncalculable. But when these traumatic events happen to a town, the true cost is so much greater. I've seen businesses close. I've seen people who are so traumatized that they hear a firework go off on the next 4th of July and they dive for cover. Could you just, closing, and then I'll return it to the chairperson, try to help people understand that the regularity of these mass shootings in our communities is doing a deeper damage than I think America can even understand, and that it is a matter of time, that we're at the point now that mayors all around America, we know, I'm sorry, I'm a former mayor, we know that this is just a matter of time, that today we're talking about Highland Park. Tomorrow we could be talking about another town, another mosque, another grocery store, another church, another school. Could you please just try to capture that one more time?
So I flew in with the mayor of Buffalo just by happenstance, and several of my surrounding region mayors are here with me today. And we all know it's not if, but when. And the pain of being in a 4th of July parade and getting that call and thinking, no, not us, not now, not today. And I don't know what we're going to do next 4th of July. I have people who tell me they will never go to a parade again. I have people who tell me we need to do the biggest parade ever. How do we reclaim normalcy in our community? I don't know. And I will be reaching out to the many mayors who called me in the hours, literally within an hour of this shooting, who have gone through this painful experience, to say to them, how do we move forward? I've been in touch with several of them regularly. I don't know why this needs to be our new normal. I don't know why we need to live this way. And I, frankly, need a better explanation to the students who have to go back to the classroom in a month to be able to say to them, don't worry, we've got you. When I talked to students in my community, they all said to me, oh yeah, we knew this was coming, not from this particular instance, but every single one of them said, we've been waiting for this our whole lives. We've been training for this our whole lives. And they knew what to do, and they thought it would be at school. Heaven help us all. There's no way to live when you're living in this kind of fear, and I am so concerned, not just for my community, but for our country. This needs to stop.
If there's anything I can do to help your community.
Thank you, Senator Booker, and thanks to this panel. What happened today in the United States Capitol